بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا شهيد يا غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. Illuminate your hearts and enlighten your majalis with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Throughout history, marriage has always been a need, a necessary part of the human being's life. When a young man and a young woman would reach a certain age, the natural and important step was to get married. And society expected that from them. When they reached that age, they should get married, such that if they did not get married, they would be looked down upon as if they have a problem in their life. Nowadays, marriage is no longer seen as a must. Nowadays, marriage is a want. It's a luxury. People don't see marriage as being necessary in their lives. It's not that important as it used to be. And that's why there are many people that you know that never get married, or they delay marriage to a very old age. They postpone marriage. And that's why here in the US, the average age of marriage now is 28. While if you just go back 60 years ago, studies mention that the average age of marriage was 21. So in just 60 years, we've delayed marriage up to 7 years, and it's getting worse and worse. And what you witness is that we are going away from marriage. But the question is why? Why are we going away from marriage? Because as you know, marriage is a need. The human being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed this need within him, the need for the other person, of the other gender. A man needs a woman and a woman needs a man. They can only live together. Allah says in the Holy Quran, هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. So this is a need of the human being. So how are we managing dispensing with this need, dispensing with marriage? How are we getting away with it? Well, there are many reasons to this, why marriage is delayed and sometimes we never even get married. But one of the most important reasons to that is because we have found an alternative. And that alternative is what? Dating. Many people now, instead of getting married, instead of thinking about marriage, they opt for what? They opt for dating. And dating has become an alternative to marriage. Now, why has it become an alternative to marriage? There's two reasons. The first reason is because in this free and permissive society that we live in the Western society, being so free and permissive, we are taught that anytime you feel love or lust, love is more permanent and genuine, lust is more temporary and it dies down very fast. Anytime you feel love and lust towards someone, don't shy this feeling and emotion away. Don't be afraid to express it. Don't suppress it. In fact, express it instantly. For example, you're in 4th grade, as early as 4th grade, and there is a girl in your class where you think she is cute, and you have a crush towards her. What are you taught in this society? This is aib, shy it away. No, go and tell her. Go and tell her, I think you're cute. Go and invite her to buy her some ice cream. Tell her, I want you to come to my... So go and express this feeling. Don't suppress it. Now, why? What's the philosophy behind this? As early as 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, express this feeling as soon as you feel it. Their philosophy is, the feeling is there, the emotion is there. Why suppress it? Why wait? Because the other opinion is wait until you're in your 20s, and then once you get married, only then you can explode and what? And express this desire. They tell you why. Why wait all those years? It's a desire. It's there. Express it now. And what you'll find is we human beings, we always want to express our desires, and we want to enjoy our desires instantly. We don't like waiting. When I have a desire, when I have certain pleasures that I want to enjoy, I don't like to hear wait, later, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. No. The pleasure is there, the desire is there now. I want to enjoy it now. So that's why you find what many people, they say dating is good, because why wait so many years until I get married? Let me start to enjoy this desire from as early as the age of 10, 11, 12. So this is one reason many people turn to dating, because it comes very early. That's number one. Number two, the second reason why many people opt for dating instead of marriage is because to many, this is how they see dating. Dating has all of the advantages of marriage without the responsibilities and the what? The complications. To many, this is how they see dating. Dating has all the advantages of marriage, meaning the desire is there, the pleasures are there, you enjoy it. But at the same time, the responsibilities and the complications of marriage are not there. How? With marriage, there are lots of responsibilities. There are commitments. When you're married, you're committed to stay with this person. Correct? When you're dating, there's absolutely no commitment. There's nothing to bind you to stay with this person. So you're free. You can leave anytime you want. There's nothing that you never said till death do us part. No, it's a day-to-day relationship. I can dump this person any day I want because I'm not married. I'm dating this person. So I feel free. There's no commitment. And likewise, there is no financial obligations. With marriage, you have to save for the wedding, you have to save for the honeymoon, you have to have a car, you have to have a house, you have to have so many things, education, career, blah, blah, blah. With dating, you don't need anything. You could be a poor peasant on the street, and you can date someone, correct? There's absolutely no financial obligations. You don't have to provide for anyone. You just enjoy the pleasures of dating. So these responsibilities don't exist. And likewise, the complications don't exist. Many people, they think when I get married, you know what if there are problems with this person? What if, for example, there's a child and this is an obligation, this is a problem for me and I have to raise this child. Other people, they're afraid that one day I may get divorced. I know I met a young man once. He was probably 30, 31. He hadn't gotten married. I told him, why don't you get married? He says, because I'm wealthy. And every time I go to get married, I put a condition to the family that if the girl wants to divorce one day, then she will not take half of my money. There's a law in this country, correct? Half of the money is automatically given to I'm a wealthy person. So when I want to marry a girl, I want to make sure she does not what? She does not abuse. She does not divorce after a few months, a few years, and takes. Obviously, the families, they don't accept. They consider this what? Oh, so you're thinking about divorce from now? We don't want you to marry our daughter. This is what? This is a form of disrespect to the family. So you find with marriage, there are complications. He knows that if he gets divorced, half of his money will go. There will be lawyers. There will be settlements. All of these complications with marriage. Why go through that valley? All these obligations, all these financial obligations and complications and commitment. I have to stay with one person. Obviously, the better choice is to date. It's free. There's absolutely no obligations. There's no responsibilities. And that's why you find in this country, marriage keeps on getting postponed and postponed and postponed. And many people, in fact, don't even get married. I read in one study, it said that 1 in every 5 Americans over the age of 25, they're never married. They never even get married. So this shows what? This shows that marriage to us is what? It's something of the past. We're slowly moving towards that way, that we don't need marriage anymore. And that's why many of our youth, they ask us, what is Islam's point? What is Islam's perspective, stance when it comes to what? When it comes to dating. Are we allowed from an Islamic point of view to date or not? Is it halal or is it haram? Because you see, for all the parents, when we have children raising in this country, we have to be concerned about this topic. I probably was raised in the Middle East, in India, Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia, in Iraq, in Lebanon, wherever. In those countries, dating was never a problem because dating was what? Is looked as a taboo there. It's difficult for someone to even date in many of those countries because it's, you can't even reach the opposite gender. The schools are separate, there's strict laws in the house and so on and so forth. And it's looked down upon, so if they wanted to do it, they'd have to secretly do it behind the back of the parents in a secret. In this country, that's not how it is. Dating in this country is perfectly normal and acceptable to the society. So when my child is raised in this country, he will be raised with this mentality. What's wrong with dating? Everybody dates in this country. It's perfectly normal. As early as they're 4 or 5 years old, they teach them dating is fine. Go and open Disney Channel, Nickelodeon Channel. Look at their cartoons and their shows. Every cartoon and show has to have something about boyfriend, girlfriend, dating, kissing. I see some shows, they're for kids. You find 2 6-year-old kids in the cartoon or in the show, 6 years old, the boy, the girl, and they speak about love and they kiss each other. This is how they teach our children in school, as early as, I don't know, probably elementary school or middle school. They teach them that that it's good to have a boyfriend, girlfriend. When the prom day comes, you should have a date to that day. And if you don't have a date, you'll be looked down upon. You're a loser. You don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend, correct? Valentine's Day comes, you should have someone that you gift to. You should have a boyfriend. So it's all about dating. Any way you look, it's acceptable. There is nothing wrong with it. And this is how they teach the children from very, very early ages. And that's why in one study I read, it said that one in every three 11-year-olds in America, it said over 37%. So one in every 3 11-year-old, they said that we have been at least in one boyfriend, girlfriend relationship in our lives. These are 11 years old. They're children. They don't even know how to take care of themselves. 11-year-olds, over 1/3 of them, they said that we have been in a boyfriend, girlfriend relationship. When my child is raised in this country, of course, these problems are problems that I have to worry about. It's no longer like the Middle East. And that's why these young ones, they come and ask us, does Islam accept dating or does it not accept dating? Now, of course, when we come to Islam, Islam says dating is never the solution. Islam discourages dating. Islam says that dating is unacceptable because the better option is marriage. You have this desire, yes, and the solution is marriage. And there are many ahadith that speak about this. For example, the hadith of the Prophet that says, النِّكَاحُ مِن سُنَّتِي فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Marriage is from my sunnah, from my ways, from my teachings, and whoever doesn't want to get married, then this person is not from my followers. The other hadith of the Prophet says, مَا بُنِيَ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ بِنَاءَ أَحَبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ التَّزْوِيجِ. There is no institution that Allah loves more than marriage. So we tell them marriage is the solution, not dating. But many of our youth don't understand why. They tell us, why do you say dating is not acceptable? I see everyone, my friends in the school and on TV, everyone's dating. Some of our youth, they see Islam as just what? A restrictive religion. Haram, haram, haram. Correct? This is haram, this is haram. This is haram, it's all haram, haram, haram. And that's why it is the responsibility of us, the parents, to teach them the reason why it's haram. Don't just tell them it's haram. Show them the harms of dating, and only then they will willfully stay away from dating. You see, we have to do 2 things when it comes to showing them and explaining to them why Islam says don't go near dating. Number 1 is because we tell them that marriage is the solution. And sometimes, unfortunately, we, the parents and the society, we unintentionally and unknowingly, we force our kids to go to dating. Do you know why? Because, like I said, marriage has become so difficult in this world today. If you want to get married, there are so many conditions and criteria that you have to meet. And if you don't meet them, no one will marry you. We're making marriage more difficult day after day. And that's why a child, a young person growing up in this country sees this is available, the door of dating is open while the door of marriage is closed. Do you blame him if he goes and tries to find a boyfriend or girlfriend? Have we tried to facilitate marriage? Or is it the same? And I spoke about marriage last time in Ramadan, and how our understanding and what we do with marriage is all un-Islamic. I have to have what? I have to have at least $30,000 for the wedding. I mentioned this. An average American spends $30,000 on their wedding. And in our Muslim communities, it's not too much better. Go to the weddings in Dearborn and see, mashallah, how much they spend. Now, I see everyone needs at least $1,000 for the wedding. And then another $15,000, $20,000 for the... I have to be 30 years old until I accumulate, unless I'm lucky, I'm wealthy before that. So when I place all of these financial obligations, of course our youth aren't going to get married. That's one thing. Another thing is what? I have to have a house. I have to have a car. I have to have a PhD. I have to have all these things before I could get married. When we place all these criterias for marriage, our youth can't get married until they're 50 years old. Of course, don't blame them. When he goes to propose to a daughter of someone, the father says, how much money do you have? What's your job? Do you have 30,000 for the wedding? Trust me, if he doesn't have that, most parents will say, no, we don't want you. We are the ones to blame when our children go to dating boys and boyfriend, girlfriend. It's our fault because we haven't made marriage easy. We postpone it so much. That's why Islam says marriage is so easy. All it requires is 3 words. The girl tells the man, she has the consent of her father. She tells him these 3 words. زَوَّجْتُكَ نَفْسِي عَلَى الْمَهْرِ الْمَعْلُومِ. And then he says, قَبِلْتُ, which most of our brothers, they have a hard time saying. They say, قَبِلْتُ. قَبِلْتُ, that's it. It takes 10 seconds. Wallahi, that's it. You don't need anything else. You don't have to write it. You don't need witnesses. You don't need anything. زَوَّجْتُكَ نَفْسِي عَلَى الْمَهْرِ الْمَعْلُومِ. And you decide what the dowry is. And the man says, قَبِلْتُ, that's it. Husband and wife. You don't need all of that spending. You don't need all of those prerequisites and the invitations and the honeymoons and the house. No. I mentioned in my lecture. They can start out simple. Why don't they start in the basement of their parents? Let them start in one room. Why is it that when the day I get married, I have to have my own house? Why? Who said that? Allah said that? Who said that? Half of our marriages end up in divorce. Read the statistics about divorce. Why? Because we're doing everything wrong. No, if I want to do it this way, I don't want to listen to what Islam says, fine. But then when you have problems later, don't come back to the Sayyid, to the Shaykh later. Why do I have problems in my family, in my marriage? Because we don't listen to the teachings of Islam. Don't place these obstacles. Don't place these hurdles. And we, the parents, we have to try to facilitate and make it easier for our children. Don't postpone marriage. Islam says get married at an early age. Do you know what age? As early as 17, 18, 19. But when you hear it now, what is this guy saying? Fine, go do it your way. And then 50, 60% of marriages end up in divorce. Do you have a better way? You don't. In every society, go to the Middle East even. The rates of divorce in the Middle East in some countries are worse than America. Because they do nothing Islamic. They bring one singer to their wedding, they give him $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And then when a young guy comes and proposes to his daughter, he's not that rich. No, I don't want you. Fine, do it your way. So number one, if we want to teach our children why dating is not the solution, first, open the other door. Encourage them to get married early. Help them. Help them in finding the right spouse. Teach them what they have to do. Make it easier. Remove these obstacles that we have placed, that Allah has discouraged and condemned. These obstacles, mostly financial. Remove them. All they are doing is destroying our youth in society. So of course the youth goes to dating. So that's number one. Number two, the second thing that we as parents have to do in order to teach our children why they should not date, so that they willingly stay away from it. We don't have to force them to do that, is to show them the dangers of dating. You see, to many of us, this is like I said, this is how our children are brought up in this country. They see dating as very beautiful. It's very rosy. Imagine your child is seeing a beautiful garden, and then you tell your child, stay away from this garden, it's harmful. They're not going to listen to you. They see a beautiful garden filled with flowers, correct? But what if you're able to change their what? Perspective. And this garden of flower, all of a sudden it turns to them a pit of fire and snakes. Will they go in it? No. So all you have to do is change their lens. So let them see dating in its true form, in its real essence. Show them. When you show them that this is harmful, they will stay away from it. This is the problem. We don't show them. And that's why, brothers and sisters, tonight for the remaining minutes, I want to speak about the harms of dating. So that our young ones, when they go to school, when they say, I don't want to date, I don't need a boyfriend, I don't need a girlfriend, they know why they're saying this. They know the harmful consequences, and especially for the young ones. There are so many harms to dating. And as they say, after all, how old was Juliet when she started dating Romeo? 13, correct? And we all know how that ended up, correct? She died, committed suicide. So that was only a joke, don't worry. So when we teach them at this early age, if you begin to date, you think this will make you happy, but it will not. Yes, maybe the desire urges you, but not everything that my desire tells me I do it. Because I have aql, intellect. I have to be wise. They're at that young age, maybe they don't have the wisdom. We have to guide them. And that's why we'll speak about the harms of dating, so that we can willingly refrain from it. And I'll mention 4 harms of dating. The first negative consequence of dating, brothers and sisters, is that it has proven that dating has a negative effect on your education. This is not my words. There are studies that were performed. They bring classrooms, schools. They divide the students based on their dating status, not marital status, not dating status. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you're in a relationship, stay on this side, stand on this side, the other one's on this side. And then they look at their grades. What they have noticed is that the individuals, the students, and this is in middle school, as early as middle school, what they have noticed is the students that have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they do much worse in school than those that don't, than the single ones. It's not a coincidence. It's a study. So they do it so many times until they know that the cause of this is what? Or one of the major causes is the fact that they are in a relationship. And there was a study done by the University of Georgia. This study said that what we noticed is the students that had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they did significantly worse in their school. Significantly worse. Not a little worse. Significantly worse. And number two, this is what the study says by the University of Georgia, that what we noticed is those that used to date, they were 4 times more likely to drop out of school. 4 times more likely. Why? Only because they were dating. So number one, go Google it if you don't believe me. University of Georgia, dating. So number one, it has a bad effect on your education. Why? And of course, if it has a bad effect on your education, the study said, and what we noticed, that those individuals that start to date early, at the end of their lives, after they grow up, they don't get good jobs. They get the low-level jobs. Because if you're not doing good in school, you're not going to go to a good college, you won't get a good job. So it will affect your career just because you are dating. Now, why is this? Now, they don't mention the reason, of course, but one possible reason is because what? Is because when you start dating at that young age, of course, this is time-consuming. You're going to now, with all the, with the text messages, you're going to spend 4 hours a day text messaging your loved one. I love you more, yes, this, whatever, let me buy you a gift. You're going to go out with your boyfriend, girlfriend. You're going to spend so many hours with that person, correct? All at the cost of your study time. You should be studying in those hours. You're going to spend it behind the computer or behind the iPhone, just texting and sending messages. So this is one. Another reason is because don't think that always, these love relationships are always going to make us happy. They're going to have their bumps, correct? What if one day the girl or the boy is dumped by the other? This person is going to have 1 week he's going to be heartbroken. He can't function. He can't concentrate. He can't study. He can't do anything, correct? These 11, 12, 13-year-old kids, they can't bear the responsibilities and the complications of these relationships. So that's why many times the toll is taken by what? By their studies. Because it's more than they can handle. Of course, he's not going to be prepared for the test, for the exam. So this is number one. Number two, the second, according to the study, the second harm of dating is what? Not only does it negatively affect your education, but number two, dating, it negatively affects your behavior. The same study done by the University of Georgia, and I saw another study done by the University of Toronto in Canada. They both said this, that dating, number one, they noticed that those children or those teenagers that were dating, they were much more likely to lie and cheat. They were much more likely to lie and cheat just because they were dating. And number two, what they noticed is that those teenagers that were dating, they reported twice as much alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana use. So those students that were dating, they reported twice as much drug use, alcohol use, tobacco use. Brothers and sisters, do you know how plagued our societies are with these problems? With drugs? Every community I go to, they tell me one of the biggest problems we have with our youth is drugs. When they go into drugs, this destroys your life. It destroys your career. You end up in gangs on the streets. If you don't overdose and probably kill yourself. If you don't commit suicide because of the depression that it causes. Every form and way in which my life could be destroyed is through drugs. This study of 2 universities is saying one of the major causes to drugs for these young ones in school is what? Is dating. So if we want to eliminate these harms, we have to go to the roots And one of the roots, we're not saying the only reason why people go into drugs is dating. This is one of the reasons. It helps. They're twice more likely to what? They reported twice as much alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana use. So this is number two, the harms of dating. That's why we have to be careful, our children in schools and what they teach them. This is number two. And then number three, we go to the third negative and harmful consequence of dating. And this is not just for the young ones, but for everyone. When they ask why Islam is against dating, why Islam says dating is never a solution, is because dating can lead to many complications in marriage later on. You see, many of us, even the individuals that date, they say, I'll get married one day. Dating has been proven to complicate your marriage later on. Do you know that? Why? You see, when we start young, remember we said 1/3 of 11-year-olds are dating. When we start to date the first time, you see, we're very sincere. These young ones, they're very sincere. They are very innocent. They're honest. They trust everyone. And when they start dating, they express their true desires and their true feelings. And now, how does dating happen? Most of it happens online. So the guy, when he likes this girl in his class, he doesn't go directly. Now there's a much easier way. Go to Facebook. Find her profile on Facebook and give her a like. That's step one. Now when that girl, she's 11 years old. It's the first time she's gotten a like from a boy. Now what does she think? Oh, this boy loves me. He wants to get married to me. She's 11 years old. She doesn't know any better. She thinks this boy is going to be her happy husband for the rest of her life because he gave her a like. She's so happy for a week. And then he sends her, you know, those emojis with the kissing emoji. And now she's sure that this person should be her husband. So now what does she do? Now she's fooled into opening her heart. Now she sends him a message. I like you too. And then she tells him, I love you. So what does he do? So he sends her back a message and he tells her, I love you also. I love you more. Now what this poor girl doesn't know, 11-year-old girl, is that this guy is on the computer and he has 5 screens open. He's doing copy paste. I love you. I love you. I love you. But this girl doesn't know. She's 11 years old. Or it could happen to the guy. The guy could be speaking to her and she's doing copy paste to him. This poor girl thinks she's the only one, and she truly thinks this person will marry her because she's innocent. She knows better. She doesn't know any better. She has no person to guide her. No person that told her, be careful. Don't trust everyone. They trust anyone. And that's why I always say, brothers and sisters, social media is very, very dangerous to our children. And I'll speak more about this the day after tomorrow, when I'll speak more about raising children, how dangerous social media is, and how we have to restrict it. I remember I read once on the internet that there was this guy who had a 2-year relationship with a woman. This is an old guy, like probably in his 30s, 40s. He had a 2-year relationship with another woman, but it was all online. It was an online relationship. After 2 years, he realized that that woman was not a woman, it was a man. Sending fake pictures, fake messages, and I don't know why that guy did it just to have a laugh for 2 years. Only after 2 years, now everything could be fake, brothers and sisters. The pictures you see, the comments. Don't trust anything you see on the internet. And I read once also a study that said 1 out of every 7 married individuals, they thought of divorce because of social media, because of the social media of their spouses. I go on my Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram and the I don't know what, all these new things that are coming out. I check my husband's account. I see, you know what, he's giving inappropriate comments, inappropriate likes, so on and so forth. I want a divorce. Or the husband goes on the wife's account and he sees there are inappropriate things. 1 in every 7 married person has thought of divorce because of social media. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other apps. So we have to be careful. So this girl, once again, so he tells her, I love you, but you know what? Every day he tells a girl, I love you. But she does not know that. Or he does not know that because it's their first time. So what happens to this individual? This individual thinks that he's in a true relationship, that she or he is in a true relationship, until a few months after that, or sometimes a few days after that, they find out that they weren't the only one. Do you know what happens to this child? Their heart is shattered. Their heart is broken. They're devastated. They become suicidal. They don't want to eat for an entire week. Oh, because I thought I was the only one. It appears I was not the only one. There's 10, there's 15, oh, just like me. He was playing me. He was fooling me. Or she was fooling me and playing me. They're devastated. Now, but what happens? Now they're scarred. Now that they're scarred, They want to go back again and date because this is what you do in America. You just date and date. And you have to have a date, always. Now that they go a second time, they're a little more what? Reserved. They're a little more careful, correct? Because they've been what? Bitten once. They go a second time, but the second time they also have some problems. They're also fooled. The guy dumps them, whatever. So now they're scarred a second time. And then they go a third time. And the more they go, the more careful they become. Because they've been what? Their heart has been broken so many times. Until the 6th, 7th time, or the 10th time, they begin to what? They begin to mistrust everyone. Any man that comes to the girl, she begins to become suspicious of him. Oh, why is he speaking to me? Is he one of those bad individuals that has 10 girlfriends? Does he just want to abuse me? Does he want to misuse me? All these what? All this suspicion that comes. Likewise, the man thinks that, oh, does she just, for example, want to benefit from me in a certain way, from my money, whatever. So we become what? We become so suspicious and we begin to mistrust everyone. Now, what does that eventually do? Eventually, when I grow up and I want to get married, I begin to develop a long list of conditions before I get married to anyone because I have been what? Because I've been hurt so much, I want to make sure that I'm no longer hurt. I have all these insecurities. So I begin to develop a long list of conditions. I want my wife to have this. 500 conditions. I want my husband to have 700 conditions, 10 conditions. Why? Because I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be naive anymore. I have to make sure he has all these qualities. And brothers and sisters, the more we add to the conditions, the more difficult marriage will be. Sometimes I see in the communities, certain brothers or sisters, they want to get married, but they have such a long list of qualities. I tell them, brother, sister, maybe this person doesn't even exist. You'll have to search 10, 20 years. You won't find them. That's why we're getting married at such a late age. And you ask some people, why don't you get married? I haven't found the right person. You'll never find the right person with this attitude where you put 20 conditions. Why did he put 20 conditions? Because of his dark past. He doesn't want to be hurt anymore. You see what dating does to us? It creates this insecurity within you. I will not get married. And then once this happens, marriage will get postponed and postponed. And once you get married, what happens? Once you get married, you tell the wife, I have all these conditions. Every day you keep on adding a condition. If you don't like it, get out of the house. Problems rise. They mentioned, that there was a woman that went to a shop and they were selling men in that shop. This is only a joke, though. Don't worry. The store doesn't exist. They were selling men in that shop and she wanted to go and buy a man. So she sees there's a sign. There's a rule in the store. What's the rule? There are 6 floors in the store, and each floor you go up, you'll find different qualities. But however, the golden rule is if you go up, you can't go down. She says, okay. She goes to the first floor. She sees a sign. It says that all the men here, she sees lots of men on display, they have this quality. They're religious. She says, okay, but that's not enough for me. She goes to level 2. Level 2, she sees a sign, all the men here are religious and they're what? And they're good looking. She says, okay, that's better, but I want more. She goes to the 3rd level, all the men here are religious, they're good looking and they're wealthy. Okay, this is even better, but I want more. She goes to the 4th level, they're religious, they're good looking, they're wealthy and they're good with children. Okay, this is even better, but I want more. She goes to the 5th level. All that was in the previous levels, good looking, wealthy, religious, good with children, and they're strong physically. So now she's tempted to accept and buy, but then the greed once again. We want more and more and more. She says, let me go up to the final level. She goes to the final level. She sees there's absolutely no men. It's empty. And then there's a sign. It says this level only exists to prove that you will never ever be satisfied. You'll keep on wanting more and more and more. Now this is probably a joke, a story, but this is true for many people. They're never satisfied because they're hurt so much in their lives. They keep on adding conditions. So I'm losing time, brothers and sisters. This is number 3. And finally, number 4. What dating does to us is that it increases the chance of divorce later. How? You see, like I said, when you're dating, you're not bound to any what? You're not bound to any contract, correct? You could leave anytime you want. This is what dating is. That's why we don't get married sometimes, because we don't want to be in a permanent relationship. I want to leave whenever I feel like it. Now, since you are in this type of relationship where you're not bound by a contract, there's nothing forcing you to stay with that person, then you can leave whenever you want. Let's say one day you're dating a girl. You see another girl who's more beautiful, who's prettier. What's going to prevent you from just dumping her and going to the second one? There's no divorce. There's no you never said I won't leave you. You never said that because it's just a dating relationship. It's not marriage. There's nothing to prevent you, correct? I don't want you anymore. Too bad. I want the other one. It's so easy, you just leave her. There's no divorce process or whatever. Since there's nothing to prevent you, this is going to encourage you. You're not going to be afraid of leaving, changing. If you change once, you're going to say, you know what? This girl is more beautiful. But then again, there's a third girl. That girl, maybe she's better. And then you're going to change a second time and a third time. That's the nature of dating. Have you seen some person that just dates one person? No, you date, you try out everyone. You try out 10, 20 people, and that's why I read one statistic that said an average American dates before they get married anywhere from 7 to 15 people. So you keep on changing. Now, once you keep on changing 3, 4, 5 times, what happens? Eventually, it becomes a habit. You become addicted to changing. Now that it's become a habit, you think all of a sudden you could just settle on one woman and get married to her? You think you could just settle on one man and get married to him? Your whole life you're used to changing this man to this man, for this woman to this woman. All of a sudden you want to settle on one woman for the rest of your life? I don't think so. It'll be too difficult because you're so used to changing and changing and changing. And this leads to two problems. What? Number one, when you get married, you'll feel like you're in a cage. Because before that, you were so free. I could change whenever I want. And I changed someone. Now, I'm stuck to this woman for the rest of eternity. Or else I have to divorce. And if I divorce, correct? First of all, you won't be too happy. You'll feel like you're stuck. And number two, what will this do? The second thing that this will do, you'll begin comparing your wife to the other ones. You see, if you had 50 girlfriends before, now you're married to this girl, you're going to say, you know what, number 7, she looked a little better in the morning. Number 18, her smile was nicer. When I say jokes, number 28, she laughed more. Brothers and sisters, the more the selection, the harder is it for you to be satisfied, correct? If you've had 10 cars before, and now you buy a car, you're going to start comparing it to the old cars. Oh, the cushion was, it was more comfortable in that one. The pedal was softer. The I don't know what was, correct? Versus if they brought you a car for the first time of your life, you have nothing to compare it to. You're going to love it. It's a car. It could take me from point A to point B, correct? The more the selection, the harder it is for you to choose and be satisfied. Try it with anything. Go to a store. The more the selection, the more you don't know what to buy. This is what marriage done to us. This is what dating does to us. Because I've had so much experience with this woman and this man and this woman and this man, I'm going to keep on comparing my wife to those individuals. And the likeliness of me being happy with my wife or my husband will be less and less and less. Because when I run into a problem, will I try to solve it? Not necessarily, because I say, you know what? The problem isn't her. Because the other one didn't have this problem. Versus if you're a rookie, the first time getting married without any dates, when you see a problem for your wife, what will you tell yourself? You'll tell yourself, all marriages have problems. Let's try to solve it. The more you have to choose from to compare to, the less likely that you will be happy with it. And that's why many people, they opt for divorce. I'm just not happy with her because I have so much to compare to. I'm running out of time, brothers and sisters. And that's why we have to teach our youth why it is very important that we don't go down this route. It will bring nothing but what? But sadness, sorrow. It'll affect our education and behavior. So if we understand that and teach that to the youth, they will willfully refrain from going this way. We tell them the stories of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Fatima, the story of Imam Ali and Baneen alayhi salam. Baneen, do you know how he got married to Baneen? It was the night of Ashura. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he was guarding the tents of Imam Hussein. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, the women should all be sleeping. As Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam, all of a sudden she comes out of the tent. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas thinks this is an enemy. He turns towards that person. He sees it as Zainab. Zainab, why are you awake? How can Zainab sleep during the 10th night of Ashura? Tomorrow she knows all the men will be killed. Hussein, Abbas, all of them, they won't be there. She says, my dear brother Abbas, I have something on my chest that's bothering me. I have to tell you. What is it? I have to tell you the story of how you were born. How was I born? He tells her that after my mother Fatima died, years after that, Imam Ali came to his brother Aqil, and he told him, I want you to find me a woman. I want to marry her. But I want her to be a special woman. I want her to be from a brave and courageous family. Aqil said, why? He said, because I want her to give me a brave and courageous child. Why? Because I want that child to protect Hussein on the day of Ashura. And this is when Aqil, and he knew all the families and the lineages, he went and found your mother, Baneen. So I just want to let you know that the reason why you were born, Abbas, was to protect Hussein. Imam Ali, he's 30, 40 years ago, before Karbala, he's planning. Let me have a child, a strong child that will protect Hussein on the day of Ashura. So tomorrow, Abbas, don't bring any shortcomings with Hussein. Save Imam Hussein. Sacrifice your life for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. I just had to tell you that. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the hadith says he put his hand on his sword and he put his feet on the stirrup of the horse and he told her, Ukhta Zainab, you don't have to tell me this. I know this. Don't worry. He said, Wallah la'an'umannaki ayna. He says, I will make you proud tomorrow. Let anyone come near Abu Abdullah and I will take care of that person. The day of Ashura came, brothers and sisters. All the companions were killed. All the men were killed except one. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas remained, and Imam Hussein. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas came to Imam Hussein. He told him, my dear brother, give me permission to go and fight because I can no longer bear and hear the enemies and hear them and speak against us. I can no longer bear seeing that all the companions were killed. I can no longer bear hear the children cry out, al-atash, the thirst. I can no longer hear that. Let me go and kill them. Imam Hussein tells him, my dear brother Abbas, you're my last soldier left. Anta hamilu liwa'i. You're the warrior that holds my standard. You're the strongest of my supporters. How can I let you go and die just like that? I can't let you go. But then Imam Hussein told him, if you must go, don't go and fight. At least go bring some water for the children. Abu al-Fadl Abbas is happy. Finally, he can do something. He mounts his horse. He takes the bucket. He goes towards the direction of the Euphrates. History says that 4,000 men were guarding the Euphrates. But this is Abu al-Fadl Abbas. He's a lion. He's the son of Imam Ali. He moves them just like that because they're afraid of him. He reaches the Euphrates River. He comes down from his horse. He goes into the water. He places his hand. Can you imagine his condition? For 3 days, he's not drank any water in that heat of the desert of Karbala. He's dying of thirst. He wants to drink, but look at the loyalty of Al-Abbas. Look at the iman of Al-Abbas. Instead of seeing his reflection in the water, what does he see in the water? He sees Sukayna. He sees the children. He sees the parched lips of Abu Abdullah. So he wants to drink the water, but then he remembers that his brother Hussein is thirsty. He tells himself, how can I drink while my brother Hussein is thirsty? The hadith says, فَرَمَى الْمَاءَ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. He threw the water away and he began to read this poem. He began to say, يا نفس من بعد الحسين نهوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين تلاه ما هذا فعال ديني. He begins to tell himself, how can I drink while Hussein, my master, is thirsty? Never will I do that. He throws the water. He fills the bucket with water while he never drank. Look at the altruism of Al-Abbas, his loyalty to Imam Hussein. He fills the bucket and he goes back on the horse. All he cares about is Imam Hussein. All he wants is to take the water to the children. He goes, before he arrives to the tent, one of the enemies, he ambushes him from the behind and he takes out his sword and he hits Al-Abbas on his right hand. Al-Abbas loses his right hand and he holds the bucket with his left hand while he says this, Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. Wallah, if you sever my right hand, you will never ever stop me from going to Abu Abdullah. I will always defend Abu Abdullah, even if it's at the cost of my right hand. And then he continues with his left hand. Another one of the enemies, he strikes Al-Abbas on his left hand. Now he loses both of his hands. Now he is carrying the bucket with his teeth. He does not care about his hands. All he cares about is Hussein and the children. And then all of a sudden, one of the enemies, he throws a spear and it hits the bucket, the water spills. This is when Abbas considers himself he's been defeated, because now he does not know what to do. The hadith says, فَوَقَفَ مُتَحَيِّرًا. He was confused. Should he go to Imam Hussein? But how? He has no water. Should he go and fight? But he has no hands. What should he do? All of a sudden, one of the enemies, he hit Al-Abbas on his head with a metal rod. Al-Abbas alayhi salam fell on the ground and he cried out, Alayka minni salam, Ya Aba Abdullah, farewell my brother Hussein. Imam Hussein, when he heard that, he came, he rushed like a lion. When he arrived at the sight of Al-Abbas, he saw his hands are severed. There is an arrow in his eye, another in his chest. He sat down by the body of Al-Abbas. He took the head of Al-Abbas, he put it in his lap. Al-Abbas, he could not see because one eye there was an arrow, the other eye filled with blood. He told Imam Hussein, he did not know who it was. He thought it was an enemy. He told him, enemy, please give me a few minutes before you kill me. Why? Because I want to see my master Hussein before I die. Just give me a few seconds with my brother Hussein. Imam Hussein tells him, Abbas, it is me, your brother Hussein. Abbas tells him, my dear brother Hussein, forgive me that I had to die so soon and I had to leave you between the enemies all alone. And then he tells him, I have two requests, and these two requests break our hearts. What are they? He tells him, number one, my dear brother Hussein, I ask you that after I die, please don't take my body back to the tent. Why, Abbas? Imam Hussein used to take all the bodies of the shuhada to the tents after they were killed. He tells him, me, don't take my body back to the tent. Why? He tells him, because I promised Sukaina I will bring her water. I am embarrassed that Sukaina sees me without the water. Please leave my body here. And that's why you see Abu al-Fadl Abbas, he was left, the only one that was left by the Euphrates. He did not take him with the shuhada. He tells him, what's your second wish? He tells him, my second wish is, please don't place my head in your lap. Why? Isn't this an honor? Your head is in the lap of Hussein. He tells him, because in a few minutes when you're all alone between the enemies, in whose lap will you place your head on, Ya Hussein? You see the love of Abbas, the altruism, the devotion, all he cares about is Hussein. And then Al-Abbas, he departed this world. Imam Hussein alayhi salam got up from the sight of Al-Abbas. The narrators say that he was placing his hand on his back and he said, Alan inkasara dhahri wa qallat hilati. He said, now my back has been broken. Now my enemies have defeated me because Abbas has been killed. And then Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to the tent. Who came to greet him? Sukaina came out of the tent. She told him, my dear father, where is my uncle Abbas? Did he bring us any water? He told her, my dear daughter Sukaina, the hands of Al-Abbas are severed. There is an arrow in his eye, another in his chest, and I left him by the Euphrates. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الأجل الأكرم يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. والأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلوات.